what makes somebody join a gang versus join the Banditos versus join Scientology. You see, I'm not talking about knitting groups and book clubs and shit like that. I'm talking about
You're
something.
talking about these kind of anti-establishment.
It's
anti-establishment
like
groups.
Yes, turn your back on the establishment, or what I call the center part of this, which is accepted society. You know, your job, schools, all that kind of stuff. What is it that makes them feel rejected or walk away from that?
Leave your desperate craving for acceptance at the door. It's time for Carl and Mike.
Welcome, Carl and Mike.
Howdy do.
I'm Carl.
I'm Mike.
We're here at the Corner Bakery Cafe in Dallas, Texas.
Yes, we are.
In the corner booth.
Always in the corner booth.
We're always in the corner booth.
It was it was funny last time we were in here. You remember those two old guys that were watching us?
Yeah.
We were booth hopping.
Yes.
We booth hop.
Sometimes the corner booth is taken when we get here.
So we'll get wherever we can get, and then we kind of hop closer, and then as soon as the person leaves, we bag it.
Right.
We're getting very territorial.
We are getting territorial.
Do we need
We're
to pee
like
on
dogs. We should pee on it.
I think we should pee on it.
Yeah. So we ended up being in 3 different booths before we got to the corner booth.
Maybe if we peed on it, nobody would sit in it.
Yeah, I think Corner Bakery should reserve this booth.
We need
Carl
a plaque.
and Mike. Yeah, we need a plaque.
Huh.
Someday.
Yes.
Someday when Carl and Mike are a household name.
Ooh.
Then we'll have our plaque. Until then, obscurity is ours.
Enjoy it while we can.
Well, speaking of obscurity, you've been doing a little research. To bring us out of obscurity around this president thing.
Yeah, on the election and the way people get into it. You know, coming out of obscurity is not necessarily a good thing. No. If you talk about exploratory committee, then people start looking at you. We don't want people to look at it. It's because we want to be able to raise unlimited amounts of money so we can, take trips and shit like that. And not have to eat at Chipotle.
Yes.
And pretend like we eat there all the time.
Yeah. Or, I like that when she did that.
Wasn't that good?
With the
yeah.
Which shows a little bit about Hillary Clinton. She is the opposite of Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. Because
Bill liked the Big
Bill
Macs.
would be showing up going, "Hello, I'm here."
Yeah,
right?
and they'd go,
and
"Bill, got your order."
Think about this. She was running for president.
Yeah.
And she put on sunglasses.
Yeah.
And incognito, tried to go into a Chipotle's to get a bite to eat on her campaign bus.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like that's going to be.
Why would you want to be incognito if you're running for president? Because you don't
want
to be bothered.
On a bus.
On a bus.
I mean, you pull the bus out front, and then people are not going to notice that. I mean, give me a break.
Why don't you just stay in the bus and let someone else go get the thing?
The other
if you really want to be incognito, don't you stay in the bus and you say, "Hey, Monica, go get me a sandwich."
And other people are going to go, "That's that bleach blonde babe that's got all the bad clothes. What are those clothes? I mean, who dresses her?
Pantsuits?
Yo, pants. I mean, bad pantsuits. I mean, bad.
You're not liking the pantsuits?
No, it's the textures.
That's a bad idea.
The textures and stuff. And it's made out of fabrics. They're not thin fabrics. These are fabrics that are like quilts. It's just like thick. Oh, it's thick, flabby.
I think pantsuits were made by the same people who came up with leisure suits for guys.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like trying to dress like a man, but not quite.
Yeah.
I think you women need to come up with their own.
Yeah.
Well, I guess dress would be their
they
style.
look like they look like Indian blankets or something. I don't know. But anyway, that's another story altogether. So anyway, you want to kind of keep it on the down low as long as you can, so you can pocket all this cash. Because once you get into the point where you file the forms that we've talked about, there's 2 of them that you got to file, and there's it's like we said, you got to file this one form, and then 10 days later you do another one. Okay, and then you're off to the races. They say, "Yeah, okay, fine."
So like Jeb Bush hasn't filed the form yet.
Yeah.
Has he? He's still in exploratory.
Well, that's true. That's true. And he's
officially,
not
there's a reason.
Well, and he's not showing up on the list, the FEC list. I don't. At least last time
I think by the
I
time
checked,
he goes to
didn't.
the debates
in
August, he'll have to declare.
Oh, and he'll show up as an official candidate on the list and stuff.
So it's people like Huckabee, when they announced they're running for president, they filled out the forms.
They filled out the forms, and they're beyond the exploratory committee. They're now full bore going at it.
Let me ask you a question. Do you know this answer? You know, on the income tax, you fill out that little dollar to go to the presidential
Do they
election
still
form?
do that?
Don't they have that?
I
Who
don't
gets
know
that money?
I don't think they do that anymore.
Really?
I don't know. I've never filled it out. I've never checked. Well, no, I
never
did.
checked
I
the
have
box?
checked the box, but I don't think they do that anymore because it's,
It's
which it's all sugar daddy billionaires and corporations are people, my friend.
yes,
Remember that?
That's right.
Yeah, the
McDonald's is now a person, and
Yeah.
he's not a clown.
Yeah.
He's
It would
got
be Bob McDonald or
Bob
yeah,
McDonald
Yeah.
and Jeff Burger King.
Have you seen the new Hamburglar?
There's a new hamburger.
No,
Burglar?
Hamburglar. That
No.
was a part of McDonald's. Guy
Back in
looks
the
like
day.
a sex criminal. This is not a cartoon character like it used. This guy really
Really?
seriously
Sex- the Hamburglar.
He looks creepy.
They've updated him.
Yeah, when you're teaching your kids stranger danger,
Right.
that's who you point to.
I always like how
And
they
he's
do.
going here instead of a candy. He's trying to get you to eat a Big Mac.
Really? Ooh, he's a burglar.
Got a little mask on.
I always like when they update the logos, like Aunt Jemima. Remember Aunt
Yeah.
Jemima? And they made her thinner,
Yeah.
stuff like that, like eating pancakes.
Mm-hmm.
That's such. Don't you remember those days?
Yeah.
I remember those days from advertising. That's
The
such
critters.
a committee.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
sit around. We're going to change the logo there.
We're gonna
It's not communicating to our target market, which are women moms making breakfast for their kids. And
Make
we want,
Aunt Jemima not quite so black and make
not
her
so
look-
black,
yeah,
not so
soften her
not
features.
so
and,
overweight.
that kind of-
So we need to tighten her up. They did that with W. Madison cakes or something like that.
Yeah.
They do that with all of them
Oh
nowadays.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Get a little nip and tuck thing going on.
Oh, that's right. It is a nip and tuck. With
It
the
is a nip
critters.
and tuck.
Yeah, with the.
Logos. But I digress. I want to tell you another little story. I got sent to the grocery store yesterday, which I don't go that often, but we decided we're going to have BLTs
Yeah.
for dinner. So we didn't have any bacon. So she said, go get some bacon. So I haven't gotten bacon for a while. There's a whole lot of decisions you have to be making at the bacon stand. That's
yeah.
not the old days. You go and it was Oscar Mayer,
Bacon.
grab the bacon, boom, you're
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Now you've got thick sliced bacon,
Yeah. What you want?
right? But I didn't do that.
Oh.
So I was trying to
Apple
think like
smoke.
Suzanne,
Apple
because
smoke,
Suzanne
yeah.
is into
Yeah.
organic and
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
kind of stuff. So there was this one bacon, I think it was Peterson Farms, and it was no nitrates, no bitrates. I didn't realize there was all
No
these
bit rates?
things.
Yeah, there's bit
all
rates
sorts
on
of stuff.
yeah.
It was, the pigs were petted before they were
Yeah,
sliced.
yeah.
I mean, it had like 19,
pig, good
19
pig, good pig.
things. Yeah. There were like 19 things on here, These pigs were raised by small children and the birth and whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing bad.
Yeah.
There was like,
Yeah.
no artificial flavorings, and I
Yeah.
didn't realize all this stuff was in bacon.
Yeah.
Because bacon by itself is probably not the most healthiest thing. But
You think?
when you
Yeah.
artificial flavor it and you throw in the nitrates and
Yeah.
you throw in the bitrates or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Oh, yeah.
So I got it. And it was on sale, $1 off. It was $5.99.
Yeah.
So I get home, I give it to Suzanne, and she's like, what's this? There was 5 slices in there. For like $6
Jesus.
for 5
Mary.
slices of bacon.
No.
I said, yeah,
You
but there's
weren't
no
counting the
nitrates or
slices?
bitrates. And I didn't realize, I was looking at the packaging and they kind
Yeah.
of covered it, didn't quite
Oh,
tell that
yeah,
there was
yeah.
5 slices. So we had 5 slices of bacon
For two sandwiches.
which ended up fine. I mean, we made it work. But
That was an expensive sandwich.
that's an expensive sandwich.
Yeah. No.
I should have gone for the 14-pound, $9.99 thick sliced
Yeah.
bacon with nitrates,
Yeah.
artificial flavoring,
No,
coloring,
that's
everything.
a whole nother ball game. The
Anyway.
way they're fucking things over.
I don't know how that we got from there.
Yeah.
But it's false packaging,
It is.
and politicians have false packaging too.
Yes.
This whole idea of I'm exploratory committee,
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
marketing
Oh,
packaging
no, it's absolutely
and skirting
marketing.
around
Yeah.
the given laws.
Yeah. No, we want everybody to understand what's going on.
That's right. We
When
are
they say
light into the-
exploratory, it's kind of a little bit of a purgatory financially,
Yes.
and so that's what's going on with that.
Then of course, we just did our thing with Texas against the world not that long ago, that episode.
Oh, yeah.
And now Texas is once again in the news.
What
Michael,
is the fucking deal?
with Texas?
Yeah,
We got biker gangs in Waco.
Yeah, biker
At Twin
gangs.
Peaks of all places.
Twin Peaks, I know.
Yes.
Have you ever been in Twin Peaks?
Well, I'm assuming it's Hooters like.
It's Hooters. It's very much like Hooters, and
Yes.
except with the lumberjack theme. It's like
Right.
plaid
And the peaks
things
are
with
are the breasts of the
the
Twin Peaks.
bosoms.
Could be the ass. Could be the
Yes.
ass butt. 'Cause there's two sides of an ass. Twin
Yeah,
Peaks.
it could be.
Well, probably not.
Yeah,
Probably
no,
top.
it's very
They got a
much
little halter top
yes,
kind of thing.
Yes, yes.
And so they got a bunch of bikers in Waco going there. I
And,
didn't realize biker groups were still active there, I guess,
Oh.
in terms of,
Well-
sounds like these are bad guys.
Well, yeah, I think they are bad guys, and they've been around for a long time. I actually went to college with a guy when he came back from Vietnam that I guess he was looking for some action. He was a member of the Banditos for a while. He's dead now, but and he was the kind of guy. He always dressed that way, even after he was in college and out of the gang. And but yeah, I guess the thing that's interesting about this is it's yet another fringe group. And you think about fringe groups. I mean, the militia guys in Texas. Those to me
on
are
the border,
frin-
trying to protect our
those
borders.
well, and the people that are worried about
Of course, will they be called up to protect us against the U.S. military invading Texas?
Yeah. And so those militias, those are fringe groups. There's all these disaffected fringe groups, and we're talking about ISIS pulling people in.
Right.
That's a fringe group.
ISIS
okay.
is a fringe
It's
group,
a big
yes.
one. It's a dangerous as shit one, but it makes the Banditos look like a bunch of pussies. I don't know. What is the deal with the fringe groups? And you could say now those are violent fringe groups. You could also say that when Huckabee says, you know, Christianity is coming under attack and it's going to be criminalized, and people that believe him, that's a fringe group.
Right,
Okay,
right.
Scientology, we talked about them. They're a fringe group.
Cult
What
fringe group,
yeah,
yes.
well, that's a good question. What's the difference between a cult and a fringe group?
Well, I think a
Is
cult
one
would have an element-
formalized?
Well, I think a cult is you lose your right to think, and you have to follow somebody else's things. There's a mind control element.
Well, and that's kind of what ISIS is, right?
I'm sure there's a hierarchy in the biker group.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
yeah.
And all these different things.
Well, and you got to show your commitment on some of these things, like gangs and biker groups. I think you have to show your commitment by doing something illegal.
Gangs,
yeah,
yes.
beating somebody up or
Right.
killing somebody or something. You know, and I think that's a way that you show your commitment to that fringe group, right?
Right. How are you defining the fringe groups? That they're
I'm-
outside the law?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. It's
Sure.
people that congregate together, that somehow
Yes.
pull themselves out of the mainstream and coalesce.
Well, there's all sorts of groups that do that. You can do that around a hobby. You can do that around
Well,
being
it's
a fan
not.
of a
It's,
sport.
that's,
You
it's
can do
not a
that.
hobby. It's not like a Cubs fan. It's like it's different.
Cubs fans could be considered a cult with the amount of abuse they've taken over the years.
Well, but they can't.
Yes.
But what I'm saying with Cubs fans, they come from a full economic spectrum.
that's
you know,
correct.
that's and
All right.
and
So you're
for the
saying
most
outside-
people, for the most part, okay, that's a good thing. The Cubs fan, most of the people that are Cubs fans have got mainstream jobs. They live in family units.
yes,
they, you know,
yes,
that
yes,
kind of a
yes.
thing like that. And they're sending their kids to public schools, and they're, you know, productive members of the overall general society. Okay, the accepted society.
And
Would you
heavy
say?
beer drinkers.
Well, and heavy beer drinkers. That's fine.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, you know,
So a
but the
fringe group-
Banditos are not.
Right.
They're not part of that. They don't have
No.
that kind of job. They don't have, you know.
So you're
whatever.
talking about the basic KKK guys, skinheads, God hates fags groups, biker groups.
Yeah, a lot of them revolve
this-
around
the-
hate,
this-
and what they're doing is they're trying to marginalize somebody else.
Yes.
And well, that's part of
Well,
what
gangs are they marginalizing anyone? They're just running.
depends on-
Sounds like they're running drugs and doing illegal activities.
gangs, or they got those are more like criminal. And see, I'm trying to figure out what all this is. I mean, what makes somebody join a gang versus join the Banditos versus join Scientology? You see, I'm not
Right.
talking about knitting groups and book clubs and shit
Right,
like
okay.
that. I'm talking about
You're
something.
talking about these kind of
In other words,
anti-establishment.
yeah, it's like
Anti-establishment groups.
Yes, turn your back on the establishment, or what I call the center part of this, which is accepted society. You know,
Right.
your job, schools, all that kind of stuff. What is it that makes them feel rejected or walk away from that?
Walk away from society in some
Yeah,
way, shape, or
yeah,
form.
and turn their back on it and go, no, this is not for me.
Probably
this is over here for me.
I would say some alienation, isolation in childhood would be involved. to a certain extent.
I don't.
Abuse.
Yeah, abuse could be.
Abuse of parents, especially because parents represented your world, and then that rejected you in some way,
Well,
shape, or form, or
they
abused
definitely
you in some way, shape, or form.
represent authority.
Yeah.
And so part of this is a
So I think it
rejection of
starts there.
authority.
Yeah.
But
I think
then-
it starts at the family level.
Yeah.
Or early on.
You reject established authority, but when you join one of these other groups, you submit to some sort
Well,
of
you always
authoritarian.
wanted to. You just never
authoritarian
could get the
structure.
love, Michael.
Well,
right?
that may be part. I think that's part of
I
it.
think there is.
You know,
I think if
well,
you did
the
a-
love and acceptance.
Right, of your parents.
Yes.
And then from there, school, society, police, the whole authority figure.
So it's getting that acceptance from.
But a lot of people have that. So the question is it just the degree of rejection that happened at that level? You know, in other words, do people in biker gangs have some really serious abuse stories?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it, so is it different degrees that way? Or
I don't know. It could be that there's that. It could be that they didn't have that kind of, but they were in Vietnam and they just never quite got out of it,
Yeah.
or they're in the Iraq War and never quite got out of it.
There's definitely authority issues, whether it's
Uh-huh.
the government. You know, I don't know what the
Yeah.
reaction comes from initially. But
Yeah.
There's this, and you know, quite frankly, authorities have given a lot of mistrust. And look at
No,
all the,
there's reasons. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
not saying
look
that's
at all
that's a
abuse
whole nother
that's
story.
happened.
Yeah, I
whether
mean,
it's the cops, your parents, government,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
yeah,
business, boss that fired you,
Yeah.
whatever.
yeah,
There's some authority. Authority has been abused, but we've all
yes.
faced it. We've all dealt with it, but we don't. What gets one person to go join a banditos gang and another person, you know, just becomes
That's a
self-employed?
real good question. I don't know if it has strictly to do with the way they are brought up, or if it was, you know, they had some friends that were,
I think it's wanting to belong
Yeah.
and who you hung out with.
yeah,
But there's an old saying: you could figure out your income by the top 5 people you spend the most time with. That
oh,
they
I
can
can
actually
believe that.
pinpoint
No,
your
no,
income.
I can believe that. Yeah.
So it's like a sense of belonging. I don't know. I don't really know anybody that's a biker.
Well, and they're talking about being disrespected too. You know, they're saying because what I read this morning is the whole thing started over a parking space.
Well, I thought it started in a restroom.
It started in a restroom, but it had something to do with the parking lot.
It
The
has something to do with
parking
these were
space.
rival gangs, so
Yeah,
they
I
just
know.
needed a little excuse.
The parking spaces turf war. You know, I mean, I don't. It's gotten down to where such small slights like that with some of these fringe groups mean such big things.
Well, yeah, the gang. Look at the Crips and Bloods, right? Wasn't it a color, red or blue? I
Yeah.
mean, that could make the difference
Yeah.
between life and death. I mean, or you were in or out. So what is that all about?
I
mean,
don't know, but it's perceived disrespect or perceived slights, and that's what ISIS was with drawing Muhammad, right?
Right.
Okay, and I
But that's
think
just an excuse to get down.
sure. And Branch Davidians was a fringe group.
Yeah.
Those idiots that wore the sneakers when the Comet Cahotek
Right.
and drank the Kool-Aid, you
Right.
know.
So those are just
Jim
fringe
Jones-
groups that gave
yeah.
the ultimate sacrifice of their
But
lives.
they're pulling away from society. They're
Right.
coalescing around a lot of times a charismatic figure, but maybe sometimes not. Maybe it's just acceptance within a group.
Yeah.
And so
Better to be belonging to a group than being totally disconnected.
Oh, I think so. And part of this really is, I think it does have a lot to do with base society, or what would you call it?
It's marketing.
Well, yeah, it's marketing on their
Because you can
part.
market now much more effectively to
Oh, yeah.
niche groups.
Yeah.
Now, back in the old 3 TV days, I mean, yes, you had the Ku Klux Klan, but it was
Where we're going to get direct
It
mail?
was
No,
poor-
everybody's
it was
got
poor communication.
Everybody's got. I bet
Right.
you the Banditos have got a Facebook page,
absolutely.
and they got Twitter and all that.
You have
other
the
happy
ability
bullshit.
now to
Yeah.
market, just like marketers can go down and through Facebook ads or whatever, they can market to very specific people.
Yeah,
So you
and
can
people
market
can market to them.
to very specific
You
people.
know, see, here's a good question.
If I wanted to start a fringe group, I could start one. It's
Beliefs.
easier for every market to have its connections now, the internet, and it really stopped even before the internet. I
Yeah.
remember magazines. Remember there used to be Life and Time
Yeah.
and Newsweek, and then all of a sudden back in the 80s and 90s, all of a sudden there were all these little niche magazines
But
and
why
stuff
do
like
we
that.
hear about this stuff in the United States and particularly Texas? Why don't we hear? Are there biker gangs in Norway, in Hong Kong? Are there these really weird ass fringe groups
I'm
in
sure
some of
there's
these?
weird ass fringe
Well, then
groups.
why don't we hear about them?
We do hear about them when they do something stupid. The thing is there are always going to be fringe groups, and how do you deal with them?
And do some cultures and societies, for instance ours, and in particularly Texas, somehow foster and grow these things? It's more fertile ground here than it is somewhere else. I don't know.
Well, Texas is like a whole other country. But
You
we
know,
sure seem to have attention on our, how should we say, fringiness,
yeah,
you know, from this Jade Helm.
fringiness.
Yes.
Fringiness.
Is that a word?
It is now.
Yes.
They don't do crazy in Iowa, do they?
No, not really, you know.
Yeah.
We don't have,
Do you spank them down pretty fast up there?
well, we have that Midwest sensibility, Michael. That common, Midwest common sense sensibility.
Is that what it is?
People of the earth.
So when somebody starts to mouth off up there, you just stick
South-
a corn
South
cob in
kind
their
of a-
mouth.
No, Michael, we have room for everyone
You
to
have-
speak.
And they do. They go up there and they speak.
And they're kind of laid back.
And speak and speak and speak.
Politicians are coming
Yeah.
there. Yes. Anyway, so
Yeah.
there are, you know, the thing is everybody's in a fringe group
Yeah.
of some sort. And you're right. And most of them are benign,
Yeah.
but everybody's got their little thing
Yeah.
that they belong to for a sense of belonging.
Yeah. Yeah.
We live in a compartmentalized world.
Could be a country club. I guess that could be a fringe group.
Absolutely.
You got to buy into that one, but it's
That
a
one you
fringe
gotta buy
group.
into,
And
yeah.
you do have to behave.
Because you could get tossed out.
Yeah.
Look
Oh,
at
yeah.
condo associations. Now.
Yeah.
They've gotten very
Don't you dare paint
almost
that pink.
cultish.
Yeah. Don't you dare paint
Yeah.
that door purple.
Yeah.
These are the two approved colors. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of a fringe group. Not as nasty as some of them.
But they're not shooting each other over a parking place.
It was like the first time there's been a big shooting in years.
Yeah.
Usually they just kind of get drunk and go to biker bars.
Yeah. Don't know.
What if it turns out that 7 of the 9 were shot by cops?
I imagine that's probably a pretty decent number.
It could be. That means there were really just 2 guys that were
So
shooting.
does that mean the banditos are now going to be going after the cops in Waco?
Absolutely. If the cops were the ones that get killed, there's going to be some revenge there.
And talk about the
'Cause that would
heart
be
of the
taking
Bible
something-
Belt. I mean,
Yes.
talk about the heart of the
Can't
Bible
get
Belt.
Waco. You can't get more.
Dude.
Yes.
And I think that's where the Texas Ranger Museum is.
That's
too.
where the Branch Davidians were.
Yeah. What is it about Waco?
Well, first off, if your town's named Waco, you're going to have some issues there.
Yeah. Also, kind of the home of Dr. Pepper, so you know.
Is it the home of Dr. Pepper?
Yeah, yeah. And Baylor University, big, you know,
Oh, it's-
religious, you
Yes.
know, kind
You got
of.
Baylor, so you got that whole religion. It's kind of, I think Waco, you get all of them meeting together. You got your religious Baylor thing happening. You got your East Texas kind of leave us alone.
It's a vortex
Texas-
of weirdness.
It's a vortex of weirdness.
Vortex of weirdness.
Austin would be vortex of weirdness, but there's a melting pot of all the different groups that represent Texas kind of meeting in one place.
Yeah.
You got your bikers, you got your Baylor Christians, you got your don't mess with Texas, leave us alone Texans.
Yeah.
You got your transplanted Texans. You got, you know, the ones that can't make up their mind on whether they want to live in Austin or Dallas, so they
Yeah.
kind of try to halfway it
Yeah.
with Waco.
Oh, that's a fucked
Right.
up stew, isn't it?
That is a messed up. That's a
Vortex of weirdness. I think we have our.
Waco.
I think we have
you
our
one.
episode name.
Yes. So you've got the Waco,
Yeah.
Waco weirdness.
Oh God! All right.
All right. Well, we've done it again.
Yes. Another one in the can.
Check out Carl and Mike at carlmike.net. We're on social media. We want our new podcast is out, Michael. The video podcast, 5 minutes, 5
Oh,
questions in
that's
5
right.
minutes with Carl and Mike, now on iTunes. So please go to iTunes, subscribe, give us a rating, give us a review. Let
Shoot
us
us
know.
on up to the top of new and noteworthy.
That's what we
in
wanna
comedy.
do.
That's what we're trying to hit. Number one.
So thank you for your support, and we'll be back again
Yes.
shortly.
Yes.
Peace.
Out.